Hey, good morning. I'm back here in the Newburgh backyard where we did Easter Vigil on Saturday night because this morning is Easter Wednesday, and the devotion this morning to tell the whole gospel story and to complete what began on Monday, Thursday, and what we started celebrating on the evening of Easter with a charcoal fire, you remember, was the evening of Easter Vigil. It gets completed today in a reading from John, the 21st chapter, and that could be our devotion this morning, and I'd love to read it to you and with you. This is a prayerful text because it is one where we're to see ourselves being present. Matter of fact, anytime you see John mention the beloved disciple, it's not just him that he's talking about. He's also, the reason he doesn't name himself, I think, is so that you can be included there. Right? You're the beloved disciple. And so we are with Jesus as he appears to his disciples. And I want to read you this awesome story from John chapter 21. And so that you can be there with Jesus and have him with you all day long, interrupting you in the midst of your work, inviting you to breakfast with him. We're going to read verses 1 through 14. After this, Jesus revealed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. And he revealed himself in this way. This was after he had risen from the dead. Simon, Peter, Thomas, called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two others of his disciples were together. Simon Peter said to them, "I'm going fishing." They said to him, "We will go with you." They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just as day was breaking, Jesus stood on the shore. Yet the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, "Children, have you any fish?" They answered him, "No." He said to them, "Cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some." So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because of the quantity of fish. The disciple whom Jesus loved therefore said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he was stripped for work, and threw himself into the sea. The other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, about 100 yards off. When they got out on land, they saw a charcoal fire in place, with fish laid out on it and bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish you've just caught." So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore, full of large fish, 153 of them. And although there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." Now none of the disciples dared ask him, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Lord. Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them with the fish. This was now the third time that Jesus was revealed to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. This is the gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. And it continues. And Jesus has this remarkable dialogue with Peter. "Peter, do you love me?" He says 3 times, and Peter says, "Yes, I love you. Yes, I love you." And Jesus says, "Then feed my sheep, feed my lambs." Jesus is restoring Peter and the disciples. He's meeting them in Galilee as he said that he would through the angel who met the women at the tomb for the resurrection. This is the bookend to so much, and just take time to read and reflect on this text because it answers all the open questions about Jesus, his purpose, why he died, and what it means that he is risen from the dead. This miracle of the fish is one that was repeated from the very beginning of Jesus' ministry. And so it demonstrates to the disciples that Jesus is living and powerful, even though they have difficulty seeing him. Why do they have difficulty recognizing him? Well, the disciples are very much the same as we are. And the gift that Jesus is giving them is not sight, but faith. It's faith by which they're made well. And so Jesus in his resurrected body, there's something mysterious going on, which is like what we experience, the way that we experience Jesus. But he is here with power, and he is providing and saving and blessing and giving himself to us in the bread and in the meal, which takes place at a brazier, at a charcoal fire. Now, we've only seen a charcoal fire one other time, and that was at the evening of Jesus' arrest, when Peter was standing at one and he denies ever knowing Jesus. So you know the smell evoked by a fire, a particular kind of fire. It says specifically that was a charcoal fire. And then once again, just a few chapters later in John, here's another charcoal fire. but it undoes what happened at that first one. Here's Jesus at the fire himself, feeding his disciples. And then he asks Peter, specifically, Peter, do you love me? You imagine what Peter was thinking and feeling in that moment as he's remembering his betrayal and his denial. And he needed to be restored. He needed to be forgiven. He needed to know that his Lord still loved him and would be there for him. And so Jesus sets up this whole thing as a sign of his of the forgiveness and the making of all things well for Peter and for everyone who has ever sinned against the Lord. This is a sign of this fire. And that's why we had this at Easter Vigil, right? That's why we had it was specifically a charcoal fire. I'm not sure that every church celebrates it that way, but it is a remembrance of this sign of Jesus' restoration and making all things well. And this is heaven. This is heaven this morning, having Jesus with us in a way that is mysterious but powerful, having him with us to restore us from everything sad and everything evil, and from all the ways that we sin, and all the ways that people sin against us. All things are well because you are with your Lord this morning, and he is with you, and we have life, everlasting life, his own life of love. And the disciples, the apostles, go forth with exactly this gift. And so do you today. May the Lord be with you.